Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. It's nice to have you here with us on USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is Books, Blogs, and Poetry. And we are super excited to welcome our guest today. We're going to be talking about a number of topics that I'm super excited to learn more about. I just want to share that DIANN FLOYD, my co-host, has the day off, so I will be interviewing our guest myself. So today we are welcoming someone very special who's really touching the lives of so many children and families across the world. His name is Schneider, and his pen name is S.A. Schneider. So he's an author and an entrepreneur. Let's welcome him to the program. Hello.
Hi, Dr. JACALYN. How are you? Thanks for having me on. This is great.
Thank you so much for being here. Where are you joining us from today?
I am in today, sunny Ohio.
I'm in New Jersey. It's sunny here as well. And even though there's so much going on in the world, it just feels so good when the sun is out, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. We had some rain over the weekend. So, instead of mowing the lawn, I relaxed. So once it's sunny, then I have to go mow. So that's part of life.
It's very therapeutic. So you live sort of in a world of fantasy, don't you?
Yes. Literally and figuratively, most people might say.
Tell us more about that.
Well, I think I started realizing when I had my kids that I viewed the world as a wondrous place still, because they often describe me as the intergalactic 12-year-old, which they took from Doctor Who, but they would laugh at me like, you just never grew up, did you? And so I channel that into my stories, my books, and all the other things I've been doing with kids. So, yeah, I kind of do live in a fantasy world, I guess.
And I understand that you had some experience with Legos and action figures. Tell us about that. And has it stopped, or are you still?
Well, when I was young, obviously, I loved the action figures with Star Wars. That was my big thing, some G.I. Joe. And then when my son and daughter were born, we played with the action figures a lot. And because I had a girl and a boy, we often had Han Solo riding on a My Little Pony, or we had Barbie talking to Princess Leia and things like that. And with the Legos, I remember when I was a kid, my grandmother worked at Goodwill. And for a whole year, she collected all the Legos that would come in. And they would come in not as sets, not like kids are used to now, where it's a set that you put together and you're done. It was just random Legos. And people would just have them in their stuff they would donate. So she'd collect all these random Legos. And for Christmas, she gave my cousin 2 garbage bags filled with Legos. So I remember dumping those out and just building so many things with them. And that's kind of, the beginnings, the play with the figures and the Legos to telling stories that I, encourage kids to do now and work with kids a bit now in that. Go out, climb a tree, and make up a story about it.
Thanks for sharing that, Stephen. And I love what you're doing, because we are adults for a certain amount of time. And I think we forget that playful side. We forget how to have that childlike essence. And we're so serious and just focused and driven. And to actually embrace what it's like to be a child, I think is so important at all ages. We have a show called Dementia Home Care, and one of the guests actually goes around the world talking about Legos and the importance of Legos for dementia patients and what it's like to be able to build things and put things together. So I feel like the work that you're doing with children is so important. How does it feel in your in your skin, in your body, to know that you're making a difference in children's lives?
Oh, well, when I came to the realization that that was kind of my thing, that was really who I was and what I could be. When I had my kids, I was a soccer coach, a baseball coach, a basketball coach for the kids. I became Cub Master and a Girl Scout leader and did all these things with the kids and realized that that's really what I could do well. And that's what I like to do. And so I continued, and they got older and it channeled itself into the stories now. And I make visits to schools with kids. I talk to kids. I went to one school and played the dopey, absent-minded professor and told them I couldn't talk about my book because my editor was asking for the next story and I had no idea what to do and I needed their help. And I got tons of ideas from these kids and they were throwing out all these great ideas. But I then helped work it into, okay, well, hold on, these are great ideas, but we got to make a story. And I worked with them for the 3 parts of a story, the beginning, the middle, and the end, and making sure we got a climax in there so it was a cohesive story. And how do we end this story? And what are the ideas you gave that we could end it? And could we put this idea there? So I made the school visit kind of an educational thing with them. They were excited to help me with these stories that I then wrote and sent back to the school so the kids could actually check out of the library a book with stories that they helped write. So it's just who I am. When I discovered it, realized it wasn't discovered. I thought I needed to be an adult, and I started trying to write action thrillers, and they were horrible, just not good at all, because I should have been writing middle grade fantasy, and it's just what I do. It's who I am.
I absolutely love that passion that you have and that commitment. You can see your face completely lights up. And I love the idea that you're actually going into schools. I feel like next to your name, it should be author, entrepreneur, and master storyteller. I think you really should add that because that is
master storyteller. I do put purveyor of fantasy on my website. And I like that. And one author I was talking to said, you ought to be the travel guide. You do fantasy. You're the travel guide to fantastical worlds. So many monikers fit, many hats.
Absolutely. So tell us where, obviously you're a great storyteller, but storytelling is one thing and actually putting it down into a book is something else. So how did this transformation occur, or was it really something you were always good at when it comes to writing?
Surprisingly, to myself and to others that do this, it is not always that easy. It is not always a matter of, well, I just sat down one day and wrote something. I thought about it for several years, drugged my feet, and had to have some divine inspiration help me get on the road to writing. And I wrote such a fantastic first book. It was the best thing ever. People were going to laud praises upon me forever. And my mother hated it because I had to kill some parents in it, but that's a origin story for superheroes. What are you going to do? And so I sent it to the editor, and I was just waiting for all this glowing praise. And instead, I got 20-page report of what I need to work on and improve, and things that should be taken out. And lots of red got added to it. So very humbling experience to discover that it was not going to change the world, and I might need to work at this a little harder. So I have, for the past several years, I've been writing and writing and writing. And now I've got my Town Magician book out. Book 2, I'm finishing very, very soon. I'm down to the last chapter and some revisions. So I'll have that out. And I'm working on another series and other books that are sitting, waiting, hoping for me to get back to them soon.
I can appreciate that. I'm an author also, and I've got a number of books that are sort of somewhere, but they're not actually going anywhere. But anyway, you not only are an author and helping children in that way through that medium, but you also help through other ways. Tell us about the video games.
Yes. Well, that was another discovery of myself. I was at a conference. It was a wonderful conference put on by a couple author friends of mine, Jay Thorne and Zach Bohannon. It was fantastic. All these great authors were there. We had some great speakers, learned a lot. And there were a lot of things that were said that people were like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to do this. And, the excitement of learning these new things. And I enjoyed myself and had a really good time with learning things. But I'm like, what am I learning that I can apply to myself? That's what I've found, that just because people are talking about, oh, this author's doing this and doing wonderful at it, it doesn't mean it's going to apply to me. And I don't even quite remember when the lightning bolt hit, but I was sitting there and looking at Zach Bohannon and thinking about his video game playing. He's a big video game player, and we had talked about some video games. And then it struck me that, oh my gosh, there are stories in video games, and kids can learn to take the stories they tell and apply them to make a video game. And that's what I could teach kids, because places are looking for this. It's a new job out there. Like literally within the last 10 years, this job has become its own position within video game companies in the video game world. And I could help teach kids how to tell stories within video games. They could practice that as a middle schooler, as a high schooler, and have a resume of video games that they've worked on and written stories for, and be able to apply for jobs right out of high school with Blizzard and many other big name companies that look for these type of people to tell these stories, to tell the lines of the NPCs, the backgrounds, the history, the descriptions of things. There are so many parts to this now. And it was like a lightning bolt that hit me, and I went, that's my thing. That's what I need to focus on and work with kids. So I've got some classes this fall over at the rec centers. I'm working on getting into some schools and some other places that I'm getting out there. And the funny thing is, I was focused on middle school, but I'm finding a lot of the younger kids enjoy it, because we use this company called Bloxels, and they actually put little Minecraft-like blocks down, and we take a picture of it and it creates the game right from there. So younger kids enjoy it. And I found that lots of older people enjoy it, not just middle schoolers or high schoolers, but I've got several adults that come and say, hey, I just thought this would be fun to do. And I love video games, and this is easy. It's something I could do, because they don't have to program. They can make a video game without any programming. So we can focus on story. We can talk about story. So it's been a revelation all around working on that. And it's exciting, because I personally like video games.
Congratulations. That is exciting. And I'm wondering, when you're speaking about the courses, are you going to at some point create them so they're online so people across the world can have access?
That has been a thought. Like a lot of things, I think I've been dragging my feet a bit on it, because I want to make sure if I make an online course, I want to make sure that it has the information that's needed, that's necessary. And it's not just a beginner intro basic thing, which is what my classes are right now, that there's other steps, other things that I can put into an online course and expand upon it. So I'm working on getting there. I think I will. I just need to find the time. I need to refine the whole class, but it's something that's on the horizon, quite probably.
Well, good luck with that. Of course, everything's a journey, right? We have our hands full, and it's like, oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I'll get to it.
Yes.
So.
Chinese squirrel.
Is it true that you have a wolf?
I do. I have a wolf called Hunter. You can see his picture on my website, and we're not 100% sure. He had been from a wolf sanctuary, or somebody had gotten him as a private person. I'm not sure the background, but he has some bones actually missing in his paw. So his right leg bends funny, and they were going to put him down because he wasn't a purebred and he was going to be lame. But my wife rescued him, and now I have a wolf. He's the biggest, goofiest guy. People have this notion, and a lot of it comes from video games. In video games, wolves are always bad. You always attack, wolves will attack you. You guys shoot them. But in real life, they're absolutely not. They're extremely lovable, and he's a goofball. He's also kind of a coward. We've got cats, and he's like dominated by the cats. But his fur is so soft, and he gets so excited and wants to play with everybody and love everybody, and he'll roll over and pet my belly. He's just the biggest, goofiest guy. He's just a big wolf. He's like 75% Sarloose is what the estimate is, but I can't really tell you.
So how long have you had him?
6-ish, 7 years, something like that.
Oh, a long time. So he's really part of the family. That's beautiful.
Yeah, he's a good boy. You gotta. I'm afraid if he gets loose, that someone's going to shoot him. That's always a fear, even with tags and all that. But he is an escape artist. We got to watch because if we just put him in a normal type pen, he will chew through the wire. He will dig under it. So it's very difficult to take care of him sometimes and care for him.
How is he in the house? Is he attacking any furniture like dogs?
No, he's outside mostly because he will come into the house, but he gets restless and he will chew things up. But he's so big, he wants to run and play. So he goes running and he'll literally like jump on the dining room table and smash the chandelier, knocking things everywhere. He has no problem. Like when he runs and slides, he'll slide into the couch. The couch hits the lamp falls over and breaks on. So he's very destructive without meaning to be always. And he doesn't like staying inside. He likes getting out. He likes being out for the most part. And people are like, well, you get worried about him in the weather, especially winter in Ohio. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know how many times I've woken up in the morning, gone out to take care of him, and he's lying on the ground, not even in his doghouse, not in any protection. So yeah, you don't have to worry about him in the winter. He's fine.
Well, we're going to take a look at your website in a moment, but do you happen to have your book there that you can show our audience and then read from it?
Well, I wasn't prepared for that. I need to get off camera for one moment. It's over there. Give me 2 seconds.
Nope. Yeah, no problem. So while we're waiting for Stephen to get his book, we'll just let you know that if you're interested in being a guest on any of our shows, please go over to our website, which is usaglobaltv.com, and you can book your session. Okay, we're back with Stephen right now.
All right.
Hello, welcome back.
So this is Embracing the Magic, and you can see I have a big picture of it. I want to say the cover for the book was done by a man by the name of Tom Zoller. He lives in Cleveland, close by to me. He was involved with the My Little Ponies reboot from a decade or so ago. So there's a little bit of claim to fame to the book cover, and he created an amazing book cover. He also did book number 2, which will be coming out soon, that book cover. And I'm hoping to get him to do book 3 and 4 when those come out. So, all right, time for glasses because we may be young at heart, but you want me to read? How much do you want me to read?
It's your show. You go ahead and read as much as you want.
Well, I will read. This is the beginning of chapter 3, where Samuel, who's our main character, comes into the picture. Before that, it's kind of a prequel. So, ta-da! Samuel cringed as Rory called out from the stage and whipped his cape so it wrapped around his legs. A pigeon flew from the performer's outstretched hand, exposing the hidden pouch that once held the bird. No one else reacted to it like Samuel. Please let them realize how fake these tricks are. His shoulders sagged when everyone around him erupted into applause and more cheering. Cheering? This got worse with each performance. Rory performed simple tricks using sleight of hand. He did them well, but they were still fake magic. Why did everyone believe they watched real magic? Samuel didn't cheer. He stood on tiptoes amongst the rest of the audience, crowded in front of a raised platform. Purple material hung as skirting around the stage. Other magicians didn't hide what was under the stage. On stage, Rory set the hat, the fake hat, on a small table and bowed once again. When a group of young ladies near the front sighed loud enough for those in the back to hear, Rory straightened and blew them a kiss. They giggled and pretended to catch it. Samuel rolled his eyes. Girls, if he could do magic, he wouldn't do it for the girls. Rory dressed like a town magician, but his clothes weren't as fancy as most. A few mended tears and worn patches on the knees made it clear Rory's clothes had been used for several years. His cape, while clean, didn't glitter like the more expensive town magicians who used the best hand-woven material. Even his first outfit didn't look as nice to Samuel any longer. The stage, the skirting, the hat, and the clothes Rory wore were all okay. Not as fancy or elaborate as some magicians. Why didn't Rory spend his tribute on a better stage? Another indicator of a horrible town magician. Oh man, why do I keep coming to these? Coins clinked as they landed on the wooden performance stage, accompanied by shouts of huzzah and another. He envied the money Rory made from his shows. Magic performance was better than trying to sell his vegetables at the market, though his father wouldn't agree. Samuel stifled the thought as Rory, the fake magician, spoke. You want more? Rory called from the stage. He shoved a strand of his black hair from his eyes as he stalked back and forth, arms raised, a grin plastered on his face, showing all of his teeth. If the crowd's cheers died down, he would lift his arms or take some other stance and elicit more shouting. Samuel had grown tired of this act. Other town magicians would laugh at Rory's amateurish display. In their towns, they performed impressive feats of magic to keep the crowd entertained. Rory didn't perform real magic. Instead, he relied on trickery and fooling the audience. Rory strode to the edge of the stage. The villagers drew in a collective breath while waiting for the next great wonder. Samuel's shoulders slumped more. He also wanted something wondrous, but magic was denied to him. He couldn't channel magic, and his town magician couldn't perform real magic. Rory's fakery made him mad and a little sad for the other villagers. They thought they were getting a real magic show, but received this instead. Why didn't anyone spot the truth? Stupid adults. All right, we'll stop there. That sounds good.
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
So how did you come up with the idea of the fake magician? Because this is always something that's bothered me when you see somebody and they're obviously not good at their craft. I don't know if there actually are real magicians, but how did this become so paramount for you in this book?
Well, that's the thing. In Samuel's world, it's a medieval fantasy setting. In Samuel's world, there really is magic. People can channel magic and do magic, cast spells. And in days of old, they would be the protectors of the town. But because they've done so well, most of the monsters have gone away and they don't need to protect the town as much. So now they do tricks, and the better the performance, the more people that want to come, and they hold a market. And the more people that come and go to market and sell, it helps the town grow. It's a simple system that their world is built upon. So the idea for the book, near me is Kent State University. Not Kent State, but there was a group that did a Wizarding World weekend many years ago now. They basically based it on Harry Potter, and they would have vendors and they would have all sorts of things devoted to the magic, people dressed up in a parade and all sorts of activities and a big festival. And I said, you know what? I want to push myself and get a story that I can set up at an author table to have a place at this Wizarding World. The stuff I had written was some spy thriller and superhero stuff, not so much Wizarding World. So I said, I need to come up with a story. So bam, I just started making something up and came up with the idea for Samuel and his world and the magic and Rory being a fake town magician. And I wrote a short story. It was about 7,500 words, but didn't stop there. I said, you know what, this seems like it needs more. And I filled it out more and had some more to do and made it bigger and longer. And then I started thinking, you know what, I've got this other thought, but I can't put that in book one because that'd be two different plot lines going on. And I don't want to explore that much of it. Maybe I'll do a book two. And then suddenly I was up to 4 books with several short stories. Possibility of like 7 books is on the horizon possibly. And it just kind of flowed out and grew. And now the world is very vibrant to me now. In fact, I have a study guide that I'm going to be working on a recipe of one of the things they talk in here, a sweet treat that they have in the book that I'm going to put into the study guide for parents, teachers to grab. And things like I'm working on with the video games. One of the aspects is a short story that I'm turning into like a choose your own adventure. So I'm combining this world, these stories with some of the other teachings that I'm doing, the video games and study guides for parents and things like that. So connecting it all together.
I love that. That's brilliant how you're bringing it all together. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And let's take a look at your website. And so I'm over here on the website. If you can let me know where you'd like me to go, that would be fantastic.
So I'm constantly adjusting and adding to the website. I've got classes for this fall that I'm working on. I've also got a favorite section there. I try and read books that I recommend for kids to read, for parents to check out. I visit bookstores, and as I travel around and put the bookstores up there, then I've got writing resources. If you go under the parent teachers there, I've got some writing resources for them. And I've been trying, right there. I've been trying to add things to help. I started all of this when COVID hit, and suddenly everybody was at home and parents were scrambling to work with kids and teach kids. So I started putting up articles to help them get their kids to write and to be creative and to think. And I put up inspiration. Instead of story prompts, I put groups of pictures up there for parents to use, teachers to use, to help kids write. Because this is my personal thought. I've talked to a couple other teachers about this. They agree that I think we focus too much on spelling and grammar in the early years of school. I think we should let kids tell stories, let kids bring out, they're very creative in those younger years, and they will tell you some of the most wild, outlandish stories and be so proud of it and think so creatively. But instead of focusing on what they're doing very well, the creative aspect of telling the story, we start hitting them with, well, now you got to spell this correctly. And honestly, I'd rather hear a great story than worry about if they spelled something correctly. And what I've learned as a writer is that as I write, then the things I learn for the craft become much easier because I've written some things. So I think with kids, if we spent the first couple years of school, focus on letting them learn story and to learn writing, and then worry about the grammar and spelling, I think actually grammar and spelling would be easier for them. It would make more sense, and we'd get a whole lot better stories out of it.
Wow. Yes, that does make a lot of sense. By the way, the website is loading. I've clicked on writing resources, but it's not loading yet.
Oh, well, I apologize for that. I will have to definitely check that. The Curse of the Spiral book is an interesting one. I did a Curse of the Spiral, and then I was part of Curse of the Spiral, and then another one we did. It was put on again by Jay Thorne and Zach Bohannon, author friends, that we actually went to Salem, Massachusetts, and learned about witches and visited different tourist attractions and areas of the city about witches and talked about witches. And then all the authors that were there, we all wrote a short story and contributed to that whole anthology. So that's a good one to check out, but it's not all middle grade fantasy. So I'm not sure what's going on with the website. It was working fine when I was working on it. So I hope they're not having problems.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, at least we can see the book covers. Tell us about the other ones on the bottom row, Young Oddish Questers and Sam and Christmas Ghost.
Those are serial fiction. One of the things also that I have been working on doing is, back in the Victorian days, it was very common to sit around on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and tell ghost stories. That, believe it or not, that was the tradition. It's actually in the one Andy Williams song, telling ghost stories of the past, or whatever the line is, I forget. And I never thought about that line until I started looking into it, but people would tell ghost stories. That's where Charles Dickens wrote his most famous, Christmas Carol. So I thought that would be so much fun to every year write a serial fiction ghost story that would be for kids, and parents or kids can sign up. And then each week of that Christmas season, they would get a new part of the story, 4 or 5 weeks worth of story. And I know how much when I was younger, I used to love when the mail would come and see if I got anything. And kids nowadays don't really care about the mail so much, but email. So here's your weekly email with a short story to add to that overall Christmas story. And it's a ghost story at Christmas. Just a little bit unusual for today's world. And that's where Sam and the Christmas Ghost came from. And Oddish Questers is another group series that I'm working on. It has to do with a group of siblings that investigate things like Bigfoot and UFOs and witches and things. And I'm working on that first book, but Young Oddish Questers, it's a serial I've been putting out. That's kind of the origins of all of them when they were young.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. let's just see if we can pull up anything. We've got some testimonials, which are great. We love testimonials, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
Anybody listening, go find your favorite author, leave them a testimonial, leave them a review. If you read a book, review, just click the stars. That, I mean, is so helpful for authors. You wouldn't believe how great that is. Once you hit so many reviews, so many people have read it and clicked on it to give it a rating, it helps in the promotion by the algorithm on Amazon. So just by doing that 5-second little thing, clicking on one of those stars, you could help your favorite author. So I encourage everybody listening, whatever books you've read in the last year, go make sure you give them ratings.
I love that you shared that, Stephen. It's almost like people think you're asking them for a loan or something. It's like, no, could you just leave a review? Like, how long will it take you? And people just, I don't know, they just don't do it. That's the hardest thing to get, a review. So
it's very difficult. And it helps if you really loved the story, even if you thought it was just okay, just give them, however many stars is fair. But having more ratings helps so much more. And it could help them with their writing. If you don't tell them what you didn't like, if you don't even tell them what you did like, how do we know what people are reading and, want to read more of or not any more of?
So true. And a question that I have for you, which I just started thinking about this recently, was artificial intelligence, AI. Are you using it all for your writing?
I've played around a little bit with it. I know Jay Thorne has been doing some. Joanna Penn, another great author, podcaster, is doing some with it. I've looked at it a little bit. I haven't delved into it a whole lot because I've got several story ideas. I've got several books already planned. I don't feel I need it at the moment, but it is, for me, interesting to use if I need ideas. It's a great thing to help with ideas, to bounce things off of. It really is like talking to a partner if you approach it the right way, to get some ideas to get rolling and get going, or you're stuck and you need the next thing. But I am working on a thing so I was involved with Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, and I know the Cub Scouts every year do a week-long summer camp. And at the end of that week, they do a campfire. And I said, I should go and offer to do a storytelling. The guy comes with the guitar and plays, I'll go and tell a story. And I've got some stories that we used to tell when I was in Scouts myself. And then I thought, similar to what I did with the author visit with the kids, where they helped me with ideas, I thought, let me promote this as the live ChatGPT AI storytelling. So essentially, I get up there and I'm like, okay, somebody give me an idea. They give me an idea and I start going with the story, and then I stop. I'm like, okay, what happens next? And they give me an idea right from the campfire audience. And I just tell the story with the idea they have. And we grow the story live while we're at the campfire. And I'm like, I love that. It fits right in with my brand, where without realizing it, they're learning about storytelling and having a great time. Because when you're live like that with people on a stage, you want to have fun. You want to goof around. So the stories can get, especially with kids, man, let me tell you, they will throw the wildest things out at you just to try and mess you up, but you roll with it. As long as it's, acceptable in that realm, you just go with what they have and make it the weirdest story ever. And they laugh and love it. So that's, my AI connection at the moment that I'm using.
Thanks for sharing that. I love it. I found it to be really helpful for writing my LinkedIn profile bio, for my YouTube channel. There's a lot of things you can ask it. It really frames things up. You might have to go back 3 or 4 or 5 times to get it exactly the right way. But it is like having a team of people that you can use that are they're there to help you, and it's free. So I love it. But I want to bring up.
Oh, I'm sorry. One of the things I learned with AI, I'm a computer guy. I've been a computer guy forever. I've used search engines clear back from Yahoo in the 90s, So I've really gotten a good skill set of using search to get what I want, refining it, putting the right search down. So when I first started using ChatGPT and some other AIs, I was treating it like a big search engine, and it doesn't need to be, it shouldn't be. You can really talk to it. It's almost like you have to lead it by the hand a little bit and help guide it to get the responses in the direction you want. but then the things it can give you and help you with, and the ideas that you get from it are extremely interesting sometimes. So that's just my computer guy little help there. Treat it like it's a chat and not so much like it's a glorified search engine or just something that's giving you facts. It really can be a good, useful tool to bounce things off of when you don't have anyone else to talk to about it. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's great. Thank you. That was really valuable. I'm going to bring up the Amazon site where people can actually go to order your book. And here it is, Embracing the Magic, a Middle Grade Fantasy. So it looks like you have it on up for sale at $9.99.
Yes. I think that is actually the old version. I got it in there twice because I jumped the gun and wanted to publish and published quickly. But then I realized the book wasn't as good as it could be. And I came up with a second version. So the newer version, they look the same, but the newer version has a much better ending. And I modified the writing to make it flow a little better and stuff.
Fantastic. Well, of course, we know as authors that it is a journey. It is an evolution. And I know with my first book, I'm going to go and redo a few of the things that I just haven't had time. But so good for you that you already went and did that.
Right. Second edition. So, I encourage everybody. People are so afraid to put a book out that they'll mess something up, that they'll make a mistake. But in today's world, it's so easy to fix, so easy to do things that you can correct or change, especially digitally. So yeah, I've got a version 1 out, and Amazon's going to leave it up there forever because it was offered as a paperback. But I have the links to version 2. And FYI, while we were talking, I got a notice saying that they were doing some upgrades on the server. So that's why it was like not responding. Perfect timing from my hosting company, let me tell you.
Well, we'll have you back on this show or the Corner Bookstore or our business show, anything that really resonates with you. So as we come to the end of our show, I'm going to spotlight you. Please feel free to share anything that you want, any words of wisdom to people out there who are thinking about writing, or anyone who has children, or anybody who is interested in contacting you.
Yeah, well, the website, which we've got a link there, that's the best place to go. I try and focus everything on there. I've got a Facebook and a YouTube, but everything comes back to the website. If it's somewhere else, you will also find it on the website. And as far as writing goes, for other people, just write. This is the advice. If you're working with kids, parents, teachers, have them tell stories. Tell them in the car. Tell the stories to each other. Tell them sitting around the table. At Christmas time, at Easter, when the family's all together, tell me a story. Tell them, hey, Easter's coming up. Grandma and grandpa are visiting. Why don't you get a story ready? Because there's so many things kids can do with stories throughout their whole life. And when they're young is the best time to prepare, because they don't have the baggage that us adults have with telling stories. So they're actually better at practicing and telling those stories. So by the time they are adults, they've got a lot of experience under them. And the video game storytelling, I've been asked several times about a book. I'm going to be working on that this fall with my classes, with some expanded material to have a book out. But it is something that kids can work on when they're younger. They will enjoy it more than just playing video games. Hey, I made my own. But then when they're adults, 18, they have more choices. They could, instead of jumping into college or instead of jumping into a job or the army or something, they could say, hey, I'm going to go intern for a year at a video game company and get that experience. They can have a portfolio already built. So I encourage to work with kids in that. And writing, just write. People jump so fast on wanting to publish, but you're much better off writing and moving on to write something new and writing a lot of things before you even worry about publishing. That's what I'd tell my younger self if I could go back and do it all again.
Well, thank you for a brilliant interview. I really enjoyed meeting you, and I'm really excited for you and the work that you're doing and the joy that you have, that you are obviously so passionate about what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been really fun chatting with you.
Thank you. Well, please do come back and see us again.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye.
And thank you, everyone, for watching, for listening, whether it's on the live or the replay. We really do appreciate you as we continue to grow our platform. We're going to hear from DIANN FLOYD BOEHM right now, a testimonial. She is the co-host for this show, but as I mentioned, she has the day off. And then we're going to watch one of her sponsorships. So let's take a look. And we'll be back with our next show, which is World Jenny's Day Updates Part 4. Stay tuned.
Hello, I'm children's author DIANN FLOYD BOEHM, and I am co-host for several of the USA Global TV and radio shows. I joined because of the purpose of the USA Global TV and radio. They provide content for the viewers and listeners, an opportunity for people around the world to have their own show or even be a guest on an existing show. We truly believe in helping others get their positive message out to the world. We also have the opportunity for the listeners. You can watch on several platforms, and on YouTube, you can ask questions and even give a comment. We absolutely love it. I love being part of the USA Global TV and radio because I love positive messages. And who doesn't? And we need more of that in the world. We are a family, and we hope you will join us and become part of the family too.